Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's lunchtime lecture. We have Palesa Boikanyo, I hope I pronounced that correctly, from South 32, who's going to talk to us about managing expectations. And we will be putting this presentation onto the GSSA YouTube channel. So, Palesa, with that, over to you. I'll mute my mic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Craig. Well, thank you first for this opportunity. I think it's a good opportunity for us to share our experience with the mentorship program. I personally have grown and learned a lot throughout the past 7 months since being a mentee, and I'm looking forward to sharing this. So I'm sure some of you might be wondering, managing expectations, what is that have to do with geology, or what is that all about? Well, for me, I came to realize that, you know, in platforms like these, most of the time we are geologists and geoscientists, and, you know, we expecting to get those geotalks, some case studies, some studies that people are busy with. But when my time came to share, I realized it's that time of the year where, you know, it's the end of the year, it's December, we're about to enter a new year. Some of us are feeling fatigued, some of us are feeling demotivated, discouraged. So I thought, well, how about I share my journey? How was Palesa when she was just getting into the industry, and throughout that journey, how has it been? So enjoy as I'm going to share my story in terms of how critical it is to manage our expectation as we progress in our careers. So this is the layout of my presentation, where I'm going to share about planning and setting goals. I'm going to dive into mentoring and coaching, and then going to go into embracing this wonderful journey of life, of our careers. And I'm going to look at the importance of growth and progression, and how do we maneuver to ensure that through the journey, we do grow and progress in our careers. And I will just have some conclusions for everyone. So, planning and setting goals. Why is it so important to really set our goals? So goals create focus and direction for us. What this does, when we do enter any new place, when we enter the workplace, when we look at our lives personally, it's important to set goals. I believe everyone has dreams. So with the dream come your goal setting. And this is critical because it holds you personally accountable. In a career space, it holds you accountable to where you want to see yourself. In a personal space, is what is it that you want to achieve? So goals are important and critical in our lives because it sets that focus and direction in terms of what is it that we want to do and how do we plan to achieve it. It challenges us to grow, introspect, to drive and actually take that action to say, what is it that I want to achieve? And one of the biggest things that I've realized as well with the growth and setting our goals is that they sort of offer inspiration, because you're not there yet. That is what you see. It's sort of a forecast of what do you want to do? What do you want to be, whether personally or in a professional space? For me personally, entering into the mining industry 4 years ago, the one thing where I see I lacked was not really clearly defining these goals. So first and foremost, we always think of goals as so far long term, but when it comes to goal setting, it's not always about the long term. We need to divide and conquer. And what does that mean? That means you plan, and planning starts with day by day. You plan your day, you plan your week, a month, and a year. Every single step that we take, every single decision that we make in our daily lives, you need to have a plan for it. Sometimes here and there will be changes to that, but that's okay. Bottom line is we need to divide and conquer when entering the industry to know what is it that we want. My title is Managing Expectations. For me, the experience that I had when I was in varsity and when I came through into the workplace area, I got to realize it's not what I expected. You know, you always have this view, this vision to say, once I'm there, when I get there, this is how the place would be. This is how the people will be. And then when you eventually get there, reality starts sinking in. Some of us, the environment is harsher than we expected. Some of us, from the get-go, you sort of get a time where already you're starting to experience the setbacks. So the dividing and conquering part of us setting our goals is important for us because you know what is it that you want to achieve daily, weekly, short-term, and long-term. And one of the biggest thing as well is we need to learn to put fear in its place. So every new venture that we go into, whether in our personal or career life, the fear will creep in to say, that's a big dream. Are you sure you'll be able to set that goal? That tiny voice in our minds that will be telling us this is not possible. Or some people will even tell you that's too much of a big dream. For who? Who said it's too much? So one of the other things that is critical is for us to put that fear aside, put it in its place to say, I will achieve this. This is where I would want to go. Of course, with that optimism, we must also get to expect some setbacks. In a career space, you might be progressing much slower, either than your counterparts or slower than what you anticipated, but it's okay. When we expect the setbacks, what helps with expecting those setbacks is that once we hit them, we are ready because we have already conditioned ourselves to say, here I might expect, less progression than there. And we just pick ourselves up and we continue. You still push the goal. So once you expect it and once you've planned and conditioned yourself, when the setbacks do come, you know that they are part of the journey that you are embarking. And one of the critical things in planning and setting these goals is that sometimes we get to learn along the way. And that's why some goals are daily, some goals are monthly. You need to be flexible, but more than anything, understand that it's a journey, it's a marathon. So one of the critical and most powerful things that I believe is important in reaching our dreams and setting our goals is also declaring it. So shout it from the rooftops, post it on your wall, wherever in your workspace, post it in your diary where you say, a year later, this is where I'm expecting to be. Have that reminder to say, daily, you get to see what you're projecting and what you're expecting to get. That helps us grow in our careers. That helps us grow, whether in the personal space as well. So planning and setting goals just helps us in setting the focus, keeping us accountable to ourselves, and it challenges us to say, you know what, this is what you committed to yourself 2-3 years ago, or whatever the case might be. If it's a short-term goal, 3 months ago, you said you're going to achieve this. Where are you now? So it just creates that sense of accountability for yourself. But remember, those big dreams that you have, it's completely up to you. You are in charge of it. So it's one thing to have a dream, but if you're not actioning it, it will just remain that, a dream. So goals help us to achieve our big dreams. One of the things in reaching these dreams and managing these expectations that we have when we enter the workplace is learning to differentiate mentoring and coaching in our spaces. And for me personally, I got to experience this difference later on in my career, of which I wish I had dived in a bit more earlier in my years, but it's never too late to learn. So one of the things that I have learned is knowing that difference helps you a lot in managing these expectations that you have upon yourself, because mentoring focuses on you, your individual development, your personal growth. You are selecting, you are putting these goals for yourself, and it's long-term, it's open, and it's relationship related. It's not so much about an open way. It's coaching. The difference between mentoring and coaching, on the coaching front, it's more about your specific career path. So it's your performance improvement. It's focused on the journey that you are taking in your career. So it's got a specific agenda. It comes with the position that you are in. It's business related and it's set. So this is task related and not relationship related. So that's the difference between the two. And for me, I would say knowing the difference between these two has helped me also in my communication with different people, me making sure that I do have a mentor, I do have a coach, because they hold different accountabilities in my personal growth. So if you don't have a mentor, if you don't have a coach, you're still trying to explore what it is. There's a lot of research that helps. So if you are entering a new space in your life and you're still not sure, because it's an unfamiliar space, there are people that have worked that path that are able to assist you along the way. So this is why mentoring is important, to say this person that has worked this path before you, they mentor you. This coach that has been in that role, they coach you on how they worked their path, how they reached certain goals in the business, and that helps. The other aspect that I want to get into is in embracing the journey. One of the key things that I had to learn as a graduate is I don't know everything. I think sometimes we enter a space, you are competent, you've just qualified, sometimes you've been top of your class, and yes, you think you know everything. When you get to the workplace, there are people that have been there for a long time. These are the people that have worked the journey, and they are the experienced people. And the second thing that I have learned was to become a sponge, to learn as much as I can, because you're entering this new workplace that you are not familiar with. Yes, you've got the qualification, but you don't have the experience. So one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen graduates specifically, or people that are new in the industry do, is the thinking that I've qualified, I'm top of the class, I know geology in and out, or I know geography in and out, but you don't know the processes of the environment that you are entering or the company that you are entering. So that's why we need to really become a sponge where we absorb, especially in the early times of our paths of our career and our growth in the business, because you don't know that as much. And then, as I've already mentioned, in setting our goals and expecting setbacks, sometimes things will not go as planned. Always be ready to try again and just apply that previous learnings. Yes, you didn't get it right the first time, but guess what? The second time you are coming with a bit more experience of those learnings. So when those setbacks come, just check out those learnings. What is it that you have learned? Why didn't it work out? What can you pick up that you can apply when you try it again? But one thing is that do not just give it up and say, this doesn't work. Try and see, how can I do things differently? And in embracing the journey, the key thing is, yes, you need to work hard. Hard work always pays off. However, we need to remember to keep a healthy work-life balance. Sometimes we get so consumed in our work that we neglect our family, we neglect our social time, we neglect growing ourselves outside the workplace. Yes, you need to work hard, but don't work so hard that your work-life balance is out of range. You still need to maintain that healthy diet. You still need to be part of that netball or soccer team. You still need to be in that Toastmasters club where you get to grow your communication skills. So in embracing this journey of starting a new life, starting this, this journey of your career, one thing to remember is that you must keep the balance. And in this journey of growing in your new workspace, you need to grow, you need to progress. However, remember that you are responsible for your own growth. Your mom, your line leader, no one else is responsible for that growth. So if you are not pushing for your own growth, no one else can want that goal or that dream more than yourself. So you constantly need to keep pushing yourself, be accountable for your growth in order for you to progress. One of the things that I have learned in this journey of entering a new workspace or starting up my career, I mean, as a young geologist, I'm still even learning. Learning is a daily thing. So the key thing that have helped me in improving myself and in growing myself is receiving feedback, and as well as giving feedback to my team. So this is a tool that you can use to just track yourself to say, am I in the right track? You track yourself, you get feedback from either your line manager, your team. Get that feedback just to check, how are people perceiving your leadership? How are people perceiving your skills? And also give the feedback to your team if there's something that you're not seeing. So receiving that feedback is one of the tools that we can use to grow and progress. Lastly, in this journey, when we are growing and progression, it's just to take time to reflect. You've set your goals, you've planned this, there's been ups and downs, it's a roller coaster, but take that time of reflection, because sometimes you realize that your personal values no longer, or the environment that you are in no longer serves a purpose for your growth. It's sort of like you've hit the ceiling. That's okay. Aspire in your career path. It's always good to aspire for that growth. And if you are in an environment where you see that there's no longer growth for you, that's when you realize that you need to change environments. So sometimes along our journey, there comes a time where we just need to stop, reflect, and see, am I still in the right place? Am I still happy in this environment? Because no one wants to be in an unhealthy environment. No matter how hard you can want that success, the environment is not conducive for you to be able to grow and progress and achieve your goals, achieve your dreams, then there's no way you can push yourself. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say and encourage someone to say that your best is enough. Setbacks are expected, but just know that your best is enough. So if something doesn't go well, sometimes it's not that you didn't do your best. It's not that you are not good enough. As long as you personally know that you've done your best, like I said, reflect, stop, reflect, check the learnings and try and do it differently. As long as you've done your best, that is enough. Never feel that your best is never enough, because sometimes when you do something to the best of your ability and you don't receive good feedback, you start questioning yourself, start questioning your worth, start questioning your skills. But if you've done your best, that is enough. Now focus needs to shift on, why wasn't it enough for this particular thing? How could I have done it differently? Because you know that you've applied your best, and that is always enough. You can't go more than your best. So it's about getting the learnings, embracing that setbacks, and trying again. Opportunities come and go. So one of the things that I've personally learned is not to lose myself in the process, because sometimes we get so consumed in this success, in trying to compete with our counterparts, in trying to, do so much and succeed so much, that you end up losing yourself and losing your values. And this is where the personal values come in. Don't lose yourself in the process. If you know your values, you know what it is that you want to achieve, what you set 3-4 months ago, 3-4 years ago, those opportunities come and go. If it costs you your peace, then it's very expensive. Your peace and your mental health is important. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, a single step or just some form of movement is better than no movement at all. So remember to be grateful for that little step, those little achievements that you have done in embracing your journey and in being the best version of yourself in your career path and in your personal path. Thank you, Craig and team.
Thank you very much for that. We don't have very many participants. I don't know if there's any questions or comments from Shyamo. But I'd just like to make a couple comments in conclusion after your talk. First of all, you showed that slide, the difference between mentoring and coaching. And it's about the best summary I've ever seen. I think that's very good. Mentoring being about you, coaching being about the deliverable. And I just warn people, particularly the young professionals, you're going to run into a lot of mentors and coaches who don't know that difference. So just keep that in mind. You also made a comment about a degree and the value of a degree and what it means. I always tell people it's not just a meal ticket, which of course it is in some cases, but it's actually a license to continue to learn. And once you leave university, the learning doesn't stop. It's a beginning point. That's what I always tell people.
Yeah.
So those are my comments. I thank you for the talk. Shyamo said, no questions, amazing presentation, Palesa. Loved how you broke things down. We will put this presentation on the GSSA YouTube channel. It's a short presentation and very sharp and to the point, and I think it'll get a lot of views, which is what we've been finding with some of these presentations. But thank you very much, Palesa.
Thank
Do you have any final comments or?
No, I think I've wrapped it up quite nicely. The opportunity to be part of this mentorship program has really opened my eyes to so much. So I'm really thankful to be part of this program, and it has definitely changed a lot in my growth.
Well, that's a lesson for everybody out there who's going to listen to this presentation or view it. Mentoring, getting a mentor and having a relationship with a mentor is always a good thing. It's always a career and life booster. I've had 2 or 3 mentors during my life, during my professional life, and it's made a big difference.
Yeah, it does, definitely.
So thank you for that. With that, I guess I'll close the meeting, and we'll have this up on the GSSA YouTube channel in the next week or so.
Okay, no, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I hope you get some good rains.
Yeah, expecting that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Craig.
Bye.
Bye.